Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. If you guys are enjoying the content of the channel, be sure to take a second, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are new and want to stay updated on some great Philly content, well, be sure to hit that subscribe on the road to 3K subscribers. But today I want to discuss a multitude of things involving the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I know these things have happened in the last, 3, 4, 5 days. I definitely want to hit on some key topics. We're going to talk some Tobias Harris comments, some Charles Barkley comments, and the signing of Ryan Broekhoff. But first, let's start it off with the Tobias Harris comment. So if you didn't see, I believe it was on Friday, Tobias Harris went on First Take. He came out without even being asked about it and made a comment about the Sixers. And he said, "I'll keep it real. We have not had the best chemistry throughout the whole year." Now, obviously, a lot of eyes were opened by these comments, including myself. I'm not going to say that I am angry at Tobias for this. He came out, spoke his opinion, and honestly, quite frankly, this is what we have needed. We need that voice from the Sixers. Maybe it is better to handle it in-house and everything. Maybe they've tried, maybe it hasn't worked. He said during the quarantine they've been on Zoom calls trying to get things to work and come together. But what I will say is I'm not mad at Tobias. I'm happy that we have a guy who is willing to come out and just be bold and be honest. We really have not had that since Jimmy Butler left. But based on his comments, right? A lot of people already come at Tobias Harris as it is already because he has gotten paid a max contract, has not lived up to that contract. He just really isn't that guy, especially this year for the Sixers. Well, here's what I will say. Tobias Harris, he's still averaging close to 20 points a game this year. I think he's shooting like 36, 37% from long range. He'll give you 7 rebounds a night. He'll give you some assists as well. He's an okay defender, but overall, let me just first and foremost say Tobias Harris, the reason that we paid Tobias the max contract, and I've alluded to this before, is because Elton Brand did not want to let another big piece of the Sixers go after losing Jimmy Butler. He did not want that to happen. Therefore, he overpaid for Tobias, right? We know what it is. Tobias is not the number one option on this team. He was not expected to come in here this year and be the number one option, but we had to overpay because if we were to lose Tobias Harris and we already lost Jimmy Butler, well, this team would be back to square one where it was a few years back, and we simply did not want to see that happen. That is why we paid for Tobias. Now, I've been saying this for weeks and pretty much all year. I don't hate Tobias Harris. I think he is a very good player. I think he's got more hate than he deserves this year. At the same time, given these comments and given everything that we have heard over the last couple months, I'm telling you, it all comes full circle back to the system. What have I been saying all year, guys? No accountability. And he says, we have not had the best chemistry. Well, you know what? I'm really tired of it, and I feel like I just continue to harp on the same point, but someone has to, right? Someone has to. Maybe Elton and the front office will see this. Maybe they will come out and see this. I'm not saying everything is Brett Brown's fault. I'm not saying he's the worst coach in the world, but he's far from the best. And despite the injuries, especially the ones that Tobias talked about, guess what? When your players are there, when you have players, okay, maybe some of the best guys have been hurt. They have. That is true. These guys need more time to play together. But guess what? Tobias was here last year. Ben Simmons was here last year. Joel Embiid was here last year. I know we acquired Tobias later in the season, but guess what? They got a full playoff series to play together. They got 2 playoff series to play together. And guess what? Losing one man in Jimmy Butler should not destruct the whole team. And these guys have built up chemistry from last year, losing Jimmy Butler, losing JJ Redick, and we go and gain a veteran presence in Al Horford, who I expected to help some of these younger guys, to give tips to guys like Joel Embiid, who he has had dominance against. But it hasn't happened. There has not been that vocal leader, and that is why I say there is no accountability. That is why I say we miss Jimmy Butler so much, not just because of how skilled he was on the floor, but because of what he did in terms of relationships. He holds guys accountable. He'll let you know if you're playing like crap, if you got to step it up. Jimmy Butler is that kind of personality, and sadly, we don't have that within our coach. It would be much easier if we did, because let me tell you, we have star talent here in Philadelphia. We have underperformed this year. And here's one of the biggest reasons why. Like we always have been saying, no accountability. Right? When two kids are fighting in class, who do you look for to resolve the issue? The teacher. When two kids on the high school basketball team are going at it and can't seem to play together, who figures it out? The coach. When two guys in a corporation can't seem to be doing business with each other, who figures it out? The manager. We like to talk about how Ben Simmons is so young. I mean, Joel Embiid is still young. Tobias Harris isn't even that old yet. So you know what? When these young guys can't figure it out, someone has to be the guy to step in. That is what the coach is for. Some of these harder, more experienced coaches in the league would not let this happen. You just got to figure it out. It falls on the top guy to figure something out and get it done. Sure, these players have to develop relationships and get closer and be able to solve these kinds of things on their own. But if they can't, someone has to step in, and that's what the coach is there for. Implement the right system, get everything in fruition, and just get things flowing. And that has not happened this year. And I'm glad that Tobias Harris came out and said something, because even when the season comes back, we will need that vocal leader, and that really is what Tobias has to be. You know, I've said it all year. We don't have that identity. People like to talk about the regular season not mattering. Well, I'll tell you how it matters. Find your identity. Find your leaders. Find the guys who are going to step up in the key situations and hit a big shot. Or the guys when things are low, who's going to stand up and project themselves out and say, hey, I'm going to help us get back up. You're going to do this, and we can do this. There has not been that guy, or at least I have not seen it. I understand injuries are a thing, but let me tell you, I'll leave it off on this. There is no excuse for not playing hard, and that should never be an excuse, and that is what we have seen multiple times throughout this year. The next thing I want to talk about here today is Charles Barkley. Obviously, we all know Charles. I mean, does great work on TNT, a former star basketball player, and he played in Philly. And Charles Barkley, when asked about the Sixers coming back and asked really about a team that he does not want to play, he picked the Philadelphia 76ers. He said that we are the sleeper in the NBA playoffs. To quote him exactly, he says, I'll tell you what, the one team in the East that scares the heck out of me, I don't want to see Simmons and Embiid and Tobias Harris. I would not want to play the Sixers in the playoffs. Other than Giannis, I want to make sure I don't leave anyone out. The Sixers are going to have the best two players against any team in the East. With the exception of Giannis, any team they play in the East, they're going to have the best two players. And then he goes on to say, I think they have a legitimate chance. I'd be surprised if they don't do well. Ben has been able to get healthy, and Joe hopefully can stay in shape. It's a biggie, but if the two guys are healthy, they really have a chance against anyone. And obviously, I've heard some people, in the last couple weeks saying the Sixers could be that sleeper based on what we expect with the season coming back. We expect teams to be playing more in terms of size with bully ball, slow it down in the half court. Maybe without the fans, guys will not be able to shoot as well. So that'll be an advantage for the Sixers. Obviously, we've wanted to see more defense than we have. But in terms of Charles Barkley, I just think this is kind of big for him saying it, because if you remember back in, December, when he was criticizing Joel Embiid, and he was just really disappointed. There was no accountability. There was no system in place, and we were just playing poor against teams that we shouldn't have. And if you remember, I remember it, clear as day after one of the games. Charles Barkley literally said the Sixers do not have a chance to win anything. But now, given these circumstances, if this team comes back, could the Sixers be a sleeper? Charles Barkley thinks so. A couple other people do. And then there are the people, obviously, that think the Sixers have no chance. But I'm just saying, this is a weird situation, uncharted territory, given how the game is expected to be played now, given the fact that there won't be fans. Maybe the Sixers can have a chance, but it comes down to that system, right? All these things we're expecting. Are the rotations going to be right? Is the clock management going to be right? If the opposing team goes on a 10, 20 point run, is Brett going to call a timeout? Just little things like that. Are guys going to be in the right situations? What is the lineup going to look like? There is a whole bunch of things that go into it. It's not just one component. And are the players going to step up and play well? If a guy's getting neutralized, what is going to happen? There is a bunch, like I'm saying, that goes into it. But overall, sure, the Sixers could be a sleeper. I'm expecting personally, and I've said this before, I'm expecting multiple sleepers in these playoffs given the situation. I mean, there's guys that are sitting out on certain teams. There are other guys getting a chance now. I could see one of these 6, 7, 8 seeds making it to the second round, maybe making it to the third round. You never know given this. We've never seen it before, so it's really free game. And then the last thing I want to touch on here in today's video is the signing of Ryan Broekhoff. Now, Broekhoff was a member of the Dallas Mavericks earlier this year. He had played against the Sixers and actually played well. He's been in the league for 2 years. I think he's like 28, 29 years old, a 6'7" shooting guard. I think he's like 215 pounds from Australia. I don't know what the obsession is, but we love these Australian players. But the Sixers go out and sign Broekhoff, and this was like 4 days ago, like I said. I saw a lot of people's different reactions. Some people were excited about it. Here's what I'll tell you, all right? Ryan Broekhoff, the thing about him is I think the Sixers went out and made a move really to just seem as, you know, they were trying to do something. They're trying to be active. We're seeing some of these other guys like J.R. Smith. We're seeing Tyler Johnson. We're seeing a couple of these other guys go to contenders because guys are trying, or teams are trying to acquire shooting, right? Like I have been saying, the Sixers do not have that guy who we can consistently count on night in, night out when it comes to the playoffs. That's going to hit you 4 threes a game. We do not have that right now. So the Sixers are trying to just have more options. That's really what it is. I know people were excited because they heard, oh, he's shooting 40% from 3. Let me tell you something real quick, all right? He's been in the league for 2 years, right? He played over in Turkey, Australia. He played 10 to 11 minutes a game both years so far that he's been in the league. I think it was like 40 games last year and 17 this year. He's played 10 minutes a game. He's averaged 4 points a game, all right? Yes, he shot 41% from 3 last year. He shot 40% almost this year. But he really has not played substantial minutes. He'll give you a couple rebounds. That's pretty much it, besides the fact that he can shoot from long range. But let's not forget, he could be a liability on the defensive side of the floor. He's taller, lanky, he's much slower than your typical shooting guard. I think just he's really a guy, if everyone gets cold for the Sixers, you bring him in, see if he can hit some shots, and if he does, then keep him in his rhythm, you know? Just have more options out there because we have a lot of young guys, and like I've said, Brett Brown does not like to go to youth in the playoffs. Would I be afraid to put this guy in a playoff game? No, but if he's in there and he's not hitting shots, and really that's what he is there for, then get him out and don't bring him back in. That is what needs to happen. Give him a chance, but look, you can't have this guy playing 20, 25 minutes a night, and Brett Brown, as we've heard, wants to get down to a smaller rotation anyway, so that is kind of why I think as well why Broekhoff might not even be in the rotation at all. But you guys can let me know down below. Give me your thoughts on the whole Tobias Harris comments, Charles Barkley comments, and the Ryan Broekhoff signing down below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.